Previously on Lost.
Greetings, Ron Smalek.
And Fellonius the Wizard, we are at the end.
Whew, we are. It's gone very fast.
Yep. Season 6, the end. This is the end of the Lost. We are at our end of our podcast, previously on Lost. Everything
almost.
is going to be end.
Almost. We'll have two more episodes after this.
Yes, but it's nothing that our listeners can help us with or choose to watch beforehand.
Unless they want to put comments that we can share in our next episode.
Yes. Please do. Of course. Do we have any now?
No, because we just recorded 3 in a row and they haven't
more or
even
less
yet.
More or less. We were a bit eager to watch these ones.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting episode. Did you like it overall?
Yeah, well, we are going to get into details, but it wasn't the one, it's not the end that I would probably made myself, but it works, and it works all the way, as is.
Well,
that doesn't mean that I liked it, because I would love to have something else, but that's me.
I liked it better than I did the first time. The first time I actually, 10 years ago, whatever it was, I couldn't decide if I liked it or not. It was okay. And then over the years, I just sort of accepted it. But this time, because I saw it all coming, it was more powerful. So 10 years from now, go back and watch the whole series and you'll like it better.
Oh, yes, I'm not going to sell my boxes. Don't believe that. I'm going to keep them and have them, I don't know, when I'm retired or whatever. I think it's true, because you need to have this mellowing down inside you, this ending.
Well, and I think it's one of the things to me that I've always liked is the show writers were very clever. They tricked us. They gave us what we wanted. They took it away. They didn't give it to us the way we thought they should, right? People from day one thought the show could be purgatory. They thought it could be islands. They thought it could be, all these different things. And over time, they gave us little bits and pieces of it, but not exactly. No one totally predicted it correctly. Like you couldn't possibly guess.
No. And I wouldn't love to do it either. But either way, everyone is getting something in this ending.
Yeah, and you see so many ties back to the first season that I don't know. It was very. Was it believable to you? Like,
no. No, but my ending would probably be less believable, because I would love to have some sort of time jump. Remember, the whole thing of Sideways is that we have been believing it was 2004, and that the other Back on the Island was 2007.
Yeah.
We are not totally sure that it is like that at all.
No, the Flash Sideways was no time.
Sure?
It's future.
Yes, no time. Yeah.
Basically, it's everyone in limbo until all of them are dead, and then they all move on together, basically.
Yeah.
And I mean, is that a personal belief? I don't know your total spirituality, but like, is that, do you believe in a limbo place or?
Nope.
I mean, I don't believe in a lot of things, but I do believe in duct tape.
Yeah, that's one of the. That's wonderful. Okay. We are going to have so much fun with the quotes.
I had to slip it in somewhere. So my personal, like, I never really, before I saw the show, never really considered. So I knew there was the idea of a purgatory where you were in limbo till you moved on, but I always thought it was like you alone, no time, no light, dark, nothing, just a nothing space until, whatever you were personally ready to go on. I never thought of it like this before.
No, but it works. As I said, it works.
Yeah.
It's not what I wanted, but that's something else.
Now, so forgetting the flash sideways part, what about the way that the on-island stuff wrapped up? Did that work for you?
Yep, that was
good.
totally fine because, except for one thing.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
It's poor old Desmond again.
So I think what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the flash sideways up until the part they get to the church.
Yep.
Then we'll switch and we'll talk about the on-island stuff, and then we'll talk about the end of the flash sideways, the reveal.
Yeah.
Just for our own sort of organization.
Yes.
Now,
It starts, however, with both at the same time. So let's just make a note of that, because that was a very, very nice beginning. If there's anyone who has been totally missing out for the last couple of weeks, you now have some sort of this is how it is. This is where we are when we start this last part.
Yep.
This guy is here and he's there, and he's over there and the other one is there, and so on. Yep. And it worked so nicely with this change of scenery all the time. They even made some sort of camera angles being the same one on the same people. And I was thinking this was very, very good. That's taking one guy at a time.
That's funny because I'm so glad you said that. That's exactly where I was going to go next. And my notes literally say the opening montage between the timelines was nice. I used that exact same word. It was very nice.
Yes. And still we have that melody going in the background that we really don't listen to.
I love the music of Lost. Like, I have all the soundtracks. And
I don't remember I've heard any.
I used to listen to it a lot while playing single player Minecraft.
Okay.
I mean, you can probably see how it would fit.
Yeah, most likely.
Surviving on an island and things, so.
Yep. Now, that's the thing that I really enjoyed starting it. And it put me in a mood that I really wanted not to be broken. Now, alas, I had someone phone me 5 minutes after the show started, so I had to break it anyway. So what I did was I restarted the episode.
Oh.
And again, I get that feeling again about, this is how it should start. Nice. And I got into the feeling again. Because it is a feeling. They have recorded a feeling and giving it to us.
Yeah, showing us all of the different people. They didn't have to say anything either. It just fit very nice. And then the whole flash sideways thing, as the people are starting to remember.
Yep.
Those flashbacks were such a good way to actually recap the whole series.
Yes.
So in this one episode, they have these two mechanisms for just keeping the audience reminded of where everything's at and where it came from. It just, that by itself, even apart from what happens, was really good. Good.
There has been in movies and TV series before we have that type of flashback, but those ones has not been as good as these ones because these are already planted in seasons before.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking at some other, I don't really have any movie in mind, but I have seen some of these. Had a flashback of doing stuff. I think we have it in Blade Runner, among others. These are scenes that we have never seen before, but we are supposed to be believing that the character has seen before. Yeah, that's okay. But in this case, we see what they see, and we have seen it before, all of us. It's not only the character, all of us who's sitting there, unless you, of course, started to watch this from season 6.
Well, and the other thing too is like when you're in this good timeline or the flash sideways, I'm like rooting for them to remember and to figure it out, even though I don't know where it's going and I don't know why they're supposed to remember or what they're going to do about it. But I'm rooting for them to recap everything,
Yeah.
and then that gives them the direction or makes them ready to do
And
it.
one of the greatest scenes in this ending thing about just suddenly realizing and remembering stuff was when Jin and Sun
Oh.
were inside with Juliet. I mean, that
Yes.
was so much
Yes.
love and joy and everything in that particular place that it was over the top.
Well, and let's just jump in right there, because that's the first note that I have got a little mark by, meaning I want to talk about it, is the
Yeah.
moment, like, when she's when you see her, when you see Juliet is going to do the ultrasound.
Yeah,
you-
it's obvious.
Yeah.
We can see that coming, but we can't see the joy at that point.
Yeah, but to me it was like, I felt like, oh yes, this is important. Like, it's echoing the show. Like, there's so much there.
Yep.
And then when they start speaking English,
Yeah,
and Juliet is surprised, but she's not. She doesn't realize she's supposed to be stunned.
Nope.
But us as the audience are stunned, and they're so casual and happy, and it was
Yes.
just such a
Oh, yeah.
nice. I
Absolutely.
I can't think of other shows that pull, like, I can't think of another situation where you can pull off that sort of twist.
I don't think you can do that in most of the TV series or movies. Movies are too short, of course, but in any other TV series, we have never seen something like that. Oh, now I'm not watching much TV. I shouldn't say that, but I have never heard of it and I have never seen it. And you can't do it in a book.
No.
It's not possible, because everyone who's reading a book gets some sort of image inside their head, and you as a writer cannot give the same image to each reader. That's impossible. But with the media of TV, you can do that.
Yeah. And you also find out right after that Juliet is actually David's mom and Jack's ex.
Yep. Yeah.
Is Juliet still on your bad list, or is she?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. I really liked all of her scenes in the Flash Sideways world, and her stuff
Yeah,
with
but
Sawyer
that's
was,
the good. That is smoothing out the edges, as I've tried to see it as, because it doesn't feel like real life. It seems like everyone is having a very, very, very good life, and I mean it doesn't take you more than 10 minutes in real life to realize that that's not going to happen to you either. So it doesn't really work. The good Sideways is too good, and they have made it. They have made it so by purpose.
There's one thing in the Flash Sideways that disappoints me, and one thing that I just don't like at all.
Okay.
And it's so after we get the scene with Juliet, we see a lot of things happen, but Hurley takes Saeed and they see Boone, and Saeed ends up with Shannon. Now, this bothered me so much, because all through the entire show, they built up this Nadia thing.
Yeah.
And at the end, he doesn't end up with her. He ends up with one of the people that I never grew to like.
No, that's rather impossible. But if you're going to point out any facts or real reasons behind it, it's easy. Any real significant action or happening that has happened in your life is a memory that is the strongest. The strongest memory, you put that in a guy and suddenly he realizes who he is. In this case, the killing of Shannon is actually the absolute top on his list. That's what they're trying to tell us.
But Nadia also got killed after he got off the island. He was back with her, and then she was taken from him by the car accident, and that's why he put him on the path to join Ben. So why is Nadia not more important than Shannon?
Good ask.
I don't know. But
Nadia has been in the Sideways before, so she cannot be reused.
Well, but I mean, maybe his brother could have gotten killed, and then he and she get together. I just that's one that I didn't like. And
the thing with Nadia is that she's married to the brother, and
Yeah.
He will never get her. No more. That's it. And that's the good part.
That's not good.
So
But
anything that he does to help his brother, he also helps Nadia with, and that's just the reason why he's end up killing Kimi and all the others.
yeah, and on a similar note, I was disappointed that Helen was not there with John at the end. He was alone at
Yeah,
the end. I mean, clearly that was his constant, John. She should have been there.
yeah, she should, but still, she wasn't dead at that point.
Well, she died of cancer while he was on the island
That's true. That's true.
or whatever, while he was
Yeah.
somewhere. So she
Well, okay, but that actor had some other commitments that she
yeah.
couldn't break.
But I mean it just, like I think Locke had a good ending except it wasn't complete.
It wasn't
Like
complete. No.
she would have completed. But so those are the only two things about this I didn't like. But so let's go back. What else about this Flash Sideways? We see Daniel meet Charlotte.
Yep.
Briefly.
Aaron is out.
Yep. Yep, you could say it that way.
Did you think that way? I did. Aaron's out. That's what my note says, because I had a hard time trying to make notes because there was so much going on that I have to write down that I can't even write down.
Yeah.
I had to stop more than once.
Yeah, Claire, I guess Claire and Aaron are a couple. She never gets a man, so she's alone at the end. That's fine with me.
Oh, she got Charlie.
Oh, duh. Never mind. Wow.
She said that she's delivering the baby, Aaron, is of course that both Charlie and Kate and Claire is going to have their biggest moment.
Never mind. Wow, I completely forgot about Charlie is even in this Flash Sideways.
No, but he's already been to the other side and back. He's okay, and that's why Hurley can just throw him over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes and just throw him into the van. What
Yeah.
was that? Was Charlie? It was.
Yeah. Yep.
Charlie's already okay, and that means that Kate and Claire needs to get their bonding together, and there was too many tears for that.
Yeah, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, so Richard and Miles... Well, Miles was in the Flash Sideways, but he didn't go on with them all. Richard wasn't there at all. So, and Daniel doesn't go with them, Ben doesn't go. So people can go at different times and move on in different groups. This was just one particular group.
This was the Oceanic 815.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. Penny was there. Desmond was there.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think that was a
but they had
convenience of the
something,
show.
yeah. Or as Ben says at one point, I wasn't enough. I wasn't important enough for the island. So that might actually be one thing. The island is still there as some sort of character, and is still also the one who is connecting the dots.
And
But if that's so, then why isn't Jacob there and his brother?
yeah.
He wasn't on the Oceanic 815. Well, they only had it on, so wasn't Des and Penny.
Yeah.
They were there. Christian wasn't either. He was not on the Oceanic 815 either. As such, I mean. Well, you can keep on. That's the parts that they are missing out on, and it's actually not. They're not interested in giving us any answers of that.
No, but I like. So yeah, I like all the, as people are remembering. I mean, I think each one choked me up a little bit or a lot. I don't know. I thought it was good. What else? Anything else about the Flash Sideways?
Let's see. We have a mirroring that was so obvious, or should I say, was so good. At the same time that bad things happens to Smokey on the island, and I'm calling him Smokey now because Sawyer did.
Yep.
And at the same time as something bad happens to Smokey, John Locke is actually become healthy. I mean, he was actually being good after the operation, and he was almost climbing out of his bed immediately
Sure.
because he knew he wanted it. So it was a mirroring again
Mm-hmm.
of good and bad. I like that. I liked when they really do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then we had also another moment, Sawyer and Jin and Son. Sawyer's running in there, I'm going to protect you. And they were so like, we don't need protection. And see you there. And where?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that also reminded us that all hasn't been revived yet, so to speak.
Yeah, this is a really good example of where I know where they're talking about, so I know where they're headed.
Yep.
But you watching it must have a completely different feeling because you're like, where are they go? Like, you completely don't know where they're going, why they're going there.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
So, and it also feels like as how they die time-wise has also something to do when they re-wake.
oh
So Sawyer is actually not dead yet. He died way after Jin and Son, so it takes a bit longer for him to get there. But on the other hand, Juliet is not. She was dead before Jin and Son, so that doesn't work. But since they are connected, Sawyer and Juliet, they have to wait a bit because Sawyer is one of the latest ones to die.
wait a minute though. So that
It
means
doesn't fit all the way, but it does feel like Sawyer is actually going there, and Hurley is just. We don't even know when he just suddenly realized that everything's fine.
well, he and Ben must be in charge of the island for a long time, I'm assuming, and
Yep.
die last of all these people.
Yep,
And yeah,
we think.
now before I forget this though, another thing that I just realized I should be upset about is no Ji Yun. So
Nope.
even in this perfect world, Jin never gets to meet her, and Sun doesn't get to see her again. That's sad that the kid's not as important.
No,
That
but
seems
they put those in because it had to do with the island and being pregnant and all that stuff.
Right.
That was something that was in their arc, so
Right.
to speak. And they didn't know that they're going to have this ending when they put Gion in.
I mean, it's
And
kind
that's
of
one of the biggest problems with this show at all.
it's kind of sad because presumably Ji Young grows up and never knows her mom and dad fully because
Yep.
she was so young. So I guess
But
they
you-
wouldn't
but-
be as important to her.
No, that's true. But on the other hand, it feels like the creators of this show just says, forget about that one. You forgot about her already in season 3. Forget her. She's never existed or whatever. They are not interested in suddenly connecting the dots perfectly because they haven't. They have made a lot of mistakes on the way.
Yeah, yeah. And
But I'm not going to blame them because it's not easy to have this show running. I mean, they thought they couldn't even get the pilot through. So what the heck? Now we're sitting here with 6 seasons.
I would love to know behind the scenes what references were planned all along and which ones were thought up as they wrote the final script, like like the Adam and Eve and
Yeah.
did they know that it was Jacob's brother and the mother way back in season 1, or
I doubt that.
it's like there's so many things I just wish I knew the whole, like I would have loved if they would have just had a camera in that writer's room for months and months and just like record it all and
Yep.
then I would watch it. I would
Absolutely.
watch the
Because
creative
they-
process. Oh,
Yeah, because it's more or less impossible to follow a train of thought here.
yeah. Like what did they think was going to happen that they changed? I mean, oh man, so many
Okay, we have two more meetings before,
Yeah.
and now I hope you have your hanky ready. First off is Juliet and Sawyer.
You like that one?
How can I? I don't like Juliet.
Oh, that was a good one. But she said the words that she said when she died in his arms.
Yep.
And that was cool. I like that one. And he was at the vending machine that
Yes.
Jacob and the candy bar was stuck, all that echoing. That was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, yeah. And then we have Kate and Jack, the last couple.
Sure.
Now, Kate at this point already knows, and Jack doesn't.
Yeah. So I guess that means ultimately Jack and Kate were the couple and not Kate and Sawyer.
Yeah, they just wing it at the end, right?
I mean, on the island, I thought when I saw the show in my memory, it was clear that at the point where the Flash Sideways stuff starts.
Yeah.
No, sorry, not Flash Sideways. In last season, whenever he finally accepts Aaron and goes with Kate, like right before they go back to the island,
Yeah.
I thought they were together. But this season, there were many times where I thought she was going to go off with Sawyer again. But he wasn't having her.
She's a whore. She can go with anyone. Anyone that looks like a dad.
Yeah. And
Sorry, that character has been written to do that.
Yeah. Sorry, I will get off track. So those were the last remembrances. I guess
Yeah.
awakenings.
That was the last one, and he didn't actually get it until he gets inside the place they have all created. Mm-hmm. Get back to that later on.
Yep.
Back to the island.
Yep. Let's go to the island stuff. So.
And the reason we are now, let's face it, we are two groups. We have Locke, or should we say the Black Man, or the Smoke, or Smokey, as Sawyer calls him.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. I'm using that more.
Smokey, that's what I used as well in my notes, and that's his truest form. He wasn't Locke, he wasn't the Man in Black, he was Smoke.
He was Smoke. So Smokey is one group, and he has Ben. And I thought Ben was some sort of miniature devil at that point. Mm-hmm. And they are going to find Des. They are actually at the well when they start, right?
Yep.
Yep.
And Sawyer shows up, yep.
Yeah, that's true. And Jack, Kate, and Hurley is going to that shiny place.
Yes.
And for once, Jack says something really important during the walk. Okay. It's after Sawyer gets back. That has no reason. It doesn't matter who has Des. We are all going to the same place.
Yeah.
And that was so cool and logic that I thought, that's not a character, but that's a Jacob character.
Yeah.
Right? It's more like suddenly this guy has got more brain than he has had for all 6 seasons. Okay, I can buy that. Actually, I can. But then on the other hand, he becomes the old Jack again later on.
And technically, we have a third party, which is Desmond. Yes. He was off on his own at this point.
But he didn't know it.
Well, the nice thing was, and I forgot about this, he was with Rose and Bernard.
Yes.
So that was a nice little...
And some little dog they called Vincent, but wasn't Vincent at all because it wasn't even the same breed and wasn't the same size. There was not much alike with Vincent on that dog.
He's growing more slim with his island living, that's all.
Okay. And getting lower.
I love the fact that they didn't even know what year it was. They didn't care. They were just retired.
And hadn't any cancer.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the point. That's their point. And they have made their own life. And they want to keep it that way. They want to stay out of anyone's trouble. So please, Des, whenever you're waking up, go. Yeah. I like them. I still like them. They are way up there. Rose is still one of my favorites.
Yeah.
She's so small when it comes to minutes on scene, but still, every time she is there, she's giving us an impact that we will remember.
Yep.
And the dreadlocks looks fine on her.
Okay.
Right. Let's see.
So I have a note when Smokey and Ben and I think Desmond, I can't remember if he's with them yet, but they're walking, they're all headed towards the same place.
Yep.
And Ben's walkie-talkie clicks because Miles found Richard.
Yes.
And Smokey looks surprised. Like,
Yes.
what was that? He doesn't know what a walkie-talkie is.
Suddenly.
And I remember back in the day, this was a really big discussion, and I feel like this was a follow-on discussion to something earlier, but I don't know what it was.
Yeah, but
That-
he was actually breaking one of those walkie-talkies once.
Oh yeah, so he knows what a walkie-talkie is.
Yes.
But I just remember having a big discussion on the message board
Yep.
that he wouldn't understand technology.
Oh, yes, he does.
And he wouldn't know what it was and all that. But you're right, he did break a walkie-talkie earlier.
Yes, and the reason he knows stuff is because he also uses the minds, the memories, and
Sure.
every stuff of the ones that he has been taking the body of.
Yeah.
And Locke is, well, he's modern, so yeah.
And at this point too, I thought that okay, Ben is playing a con game. This is all set up in
Yeah,
advance.
suddenly, hold it. I mean, I was stopping dead in my thoughts here as well, because I had decided that Ben was on the bad side. He was a Smokey too, or whatever you can call them. I mean, when suddenly that, and we see Miles sitting with Alpert and trying to tell him that Alpert is alive, I found him. And Ben is actually trying to hide that away from Locke. And I was thinking, what? Now, he has been shooting Charles Widmore, but that's something old. That's
Yeah.
something really old.
Yeah.
And I think he shot him because he didn't want John Locke to get the information he needed. So, you know how it is.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So I still feel like when he said we're going to go kill more people or whatever, that Ben was acting like he was following Locke, but all along he was a double agent.
Yes. On the other party, Sawyer is back, and Jack is actually trying to explain what is going to happen, that he's going to kill Locke or whatever, something. And Sawyer gives us one of his quotes. Hell of a long con, Doc.
Yeah.
I mean, who is the con man in this game? It's not Sawyer in this case. I like that.
Yeah.
And there's a storm brewing. I thought that could have been something really nice to blend into it, but they didn't.
Yeah, no, you're right, actually. That never really came into play now that I
No,
think
that
about it.
storm was just, it's going up to a point where it's peaking, and at the same time, suddenly the stone is off the hole and all that.
Yeah.
That storm was actually made by the island. So it's well, you know it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let's say, oh yeah, Desmond has an explanation, because Des thinks that they are going to a better place.
Yeah, he's seen...
And I thought he references the good timeline.
Yeah, he did. And at this point, I'm thinking he's mistaken. Like, he saw it, but he doesn't understand it. And I don't know if he did or not, to be honest.
Me neither, because I didn't understand that saying at all.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it gives us as a viewer suddenly some sort of hope.
Yeah.
Because that's something that you can never take away from us. We are always looking for hope. And if Desmond knows that, perhaps he knows something else. Perhaps Desmond will fix everything. Des is the big fixer.
Yeah, and you assume that he's going to get back and Daniel's going to do
Yes.
something nuclear, and yep.
Oh, everything's going to be so nice. But when I suddenly I had to stop there as well. Okay, if he means that they are going to get the plug out, the water is coming in, the island sinks, and the only thing we know for a fact that in the other timeline, the island is actually underwater. So I was thinking, okay, so where is Smokey on that occasion. If the island is underwater, we're smoky. There is a couple of things missing here. So I just dropped that and kept on watching.
Yeah. I thought I was really excited when he does pull the cork out and you see like the light of like lava coming up, sort of.
Yep.
I was like, we never did get our volcanic eruption, but almost.
Almost. It's close enough, I would say.
Yeah.
And Des was not very pleased with it. And Jack and John tells each other that you were wrong. They were both wrong, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not what Jack expected, but it did make Smokey mortal.
Yep, and we're trapped within a mortal body as well, because he can't become Smokey.
Yeah.
That has to be the case, right? Because otherwise he would be on that sailing boat within a jiffy. Because if he was Smokey, he could just go as smoke and just go to the boat.
Yeah.
But when that blood came out of John Locke's mouth, I was going, yes, that's good.
Yeah.
I was on my edge at that time. My popcorn was nowhere to be seen because I wasn't interested in them. I was just watching. Yes. But then he puts up a rock and hits Jack, of course, because Jack is a very lousy hero.
Yeah. No, it was good. I was worried before I watched this yesterday that I wasn't going to be satisfied with, oh, now he's mortal, big deal, a fist fight, it's over.
Yeah.
But it was, like, I seem to remember, I can also tell you, this is kind of jumping ahead, but the part where Jack jumps over the rock and is going to punch Locke for the final time, they cut to commercial right in between there. Yeah, so Jack's flying through the air, and then it cuts to commercial, and then when it comes back, I remember this clearly, it's right before he jumps, and Kate shows up, and so it was like awkward, and then now watching it on DVD, you see where the commercial would have been, but it's sort
of thing there going on,
Yeah, there was one spot where it wasn't cleanly edited because it was supposed to be like a cliffhanger before the commercial.
Yeah.
And I remember that as I was watching it, like, oh, okay, now I see it's better when it's all just played. That portion shouldn't have been broken
it's better, but it shouldn't be that. Yeah. It was some sort of strange thing. Yeah. And besides that, you are not showing... you're not having your foothold as good on those rainy cliffs and stuff. I mean, there was some real messy things. But as we both know, it wasn't rainy, it wasn't stormy. They stood there with water hoses and hosed them down while they was fighting. So
what?
And then they did a very, very good miss. I mean, if there's anyone who shouldn't be the hero... She shows up with one bullet, one shot, and kills Locke.
Well,
Kate the idiot.
She shoots him. I'm not sure. He wasn't quite dead until Jack kicks him over the edge, though.
Of course, yes, but that's not the point.
But he probably would have died from that shot, though. Yeah, that was... I like how Jack got the scar on his neck. That's the same scar from the Flash sideways.
Yeah.
It's not a shaving cut. It's actually... a knife cut. And so Kate, I mean, basically it's kind of like Jack needed Kate. He couldn't do it alone.
That hurts. That hurts me totally, because that really brings the show down.
Really?
I mean, Kate has been stupid for 6 seasons. The next thing to last she does, she puts the bullet that makes the thing stop. It shouldn't be her. It should be Sawyer. It should be Ben even.
Well, that's fine. Finally, we know why Jacob kept her. I don't know.
Kept her. He didn't. He didn't keep her. She was stupid enough to go back to talk to Claire.
I mean, otherwise she was pretty useless. So,
She was useless, yes, and she should have been useless all the way because this is a character flaw and I don't like it.
yeah.
I mean, it would have been totally true if it was Ben. I could go with Sawyer any day. That's no problem. But Kate,
I was fine with it.
you could just as well had a helicopter with Frank in it shooting. I don't. That's just as stupid. Kate is stupid. She shouldn't be able to put the bullet inside. Of course, John Locke was standing still. That's the only thing that I can think of that is good. Otherwise, no.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
that's how it is. We are all different. That one of my biggest problems in this episode. I was disappointed, to be say the least. Kate is not the one that I wanted. But the fun fact in this case, when Kate shoots Locke, we are also seeing him fall over the edge. And probably, as you said, he was going to die of the fall because that fall was rather big.
Yeah.
And at the same time, in the good timeline, he's waking up. The surgery has been going well. It was a very good mirroring.
Now, did you and then Jack gives the power to Hurley. So ultimately, Hurley was the main candidate.
Now then, yeah. Well, that's what they say. But believe me, they don't know jack shit. That is one of the things that I really liked what they say later on, Hurley and Ben, when they're sitting there at their, I'm not totally sure. They have just hauled up Des, yes. There has to be a way to send Des home. And they was going, oh, well, we're going to do all these candidate stuff and stuff. No, that was Jacob's way.
Yep.
There has to be another way. And that's the main point. And that's really made me happy. Yes, this is how it's supposed to be. The island is going to show them another way. Or if they are interested in what the island says or the feelings they get from it, they are going to come up with some other way, of course.
Yeah.
And we are going to get an answer later on that one.
Yeah, yeah. I love the fact that at the end of it all, Hurley, the guy who takes care of everybody else, is the guy that gets it. And it's not Jack, the flawed leader. It wasn't Sawyer, Kate. I mean, Hurley, like, man, from watching him through this whole season, like, I've been watching him, everything he does, to see if he's worthy of the island. Like,
he's just going around there, smiling, dropping a quote now and then, and having some Star Wars related stuff.
Oh my gosh, so many awesome ones.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of quotes, like, not so now if you ever go back and rewatch it, like, you watch the whole thing and you hear him say different things even in season 1.
Yep.
And knowing that he's eventually gonna be the lead, or like whenever they meet Ben, or whenever they first hear about Jacob.
And then we have Sawyer, But can we save that for our summary? Because I think we are going to have a lot of talk about the quotes, among others, because we are going to have to tell them, all of them.
Oh, gosh.
Or at least many of them, because I have noted several that will keep me in my memory later on. Now, Jack has to fix the island.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
And takes Hurley and Ben with him.
Yeah.
At the same time, the rest, that is Kate and Sawyer, throws themselves into the sea and swims to the boat and goes to the Hydra Island. Let's forget them for a while.
Yep.
Look, Lapidus is fixing the airplane. And as you said, duct tape, and you can always trust duct tape. Now, I have to tell you something. There is a Swedish company who is making duct tape that is totally useless. So never trust every type of duct tape.
What?
Keep to the original. Yes, that is true.
I learned how to use duct tape from MacGyver, so...
Yeah, me too. But I have actually found some very cheap material that doesn't hold together for more than couple of days, and then suddenly it loses. So it's not real duct tape.
I was really impressed during this segment about how good Lapidus gives orders whenever the
Yeah.
tension's on. He
Yep.
just takes control. You do this, you do that.
Yep.
I I'm glad that he came back. I
Yeah,
thought we've
but
seen the last
he
of
has
him.
also landed the plane, so he knows a lot of this plane from the beginning on. And I suspect, but that's just a suspicion, that he went over the plane after it stopped. I guess that he checked that the levels were okay. Perhaps if some line has been broken or anything, he might have seen that coming. Now, a hydraulic leak would probably just drain the plane, so that's not really true. It was some sort of air to the hydraulic that didn't work.
Okay.
So I suspect that he also knew. I suspect he knew a lot of that aircraft, but one thing he didn't knew that it was something that he was going back to.
Yeah.
But he might have been thinking about that while being in the water. Who knows? He backs up. Yep. But the thing is that I really like in this segment is that Desmond is still alive, and the first thing Jack does is make sure that he's going to be hauled up. I must say that gives Jack some good credit point in my book, because taking care of Desmond, he didn't need to do that, really not. At the same time, he also gets the information he needs on what Desmond has done, which he also needs. That's something that he really needs. What did you do? What can I do to restore it? And I also like the fact that after he put back the stone, it takes some time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That is a clue. I mean, most people are so impatient nowadays. He sits there and he's totally finished. He's got scars all over the place. He is actually at that point more or less dead. And then suddenly, slowly, the light comes back. The water starts flowing very slow in the beginning. Ah, that was good.
And it, it's interesting. Like, so ultimately, the smoke monster wants to destroy the island. Did he want to get off? Like,
Yes.
pull the cork and then escape?
Yes.
Did he want to destroy the world or just the island? Because
first of all, the fact that he is still a smoke monster, that makes a difference, because what he didn't know is that when the island goes down, he stops becoming a smoke monster. He didn't know that.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Because if he would have beat Jack and left on the plane, he would have been mortal, and
Yep.
and he would have been gotten to wherever they're gonna land with no powers, and he would have lost. But I feel like if the island got destroyed by whatever was coming up, it would have probably destroyed the whole world, not just the island.
I doubt that.
No, well,
I didn't get the feeling while we were watching. But of course, he hoped perhaps for better things, and I suspect that Smokey also hoped that he could keep his powers. But he should have known that that's not going to happen. Or perhaps he knew that the fact is that when he drops the island down, his powers is going to be weakened. He's in a body. He's okay. So the fact is that there are people trying to stop him. That's his only problem.
I think everyone
And
was surprised.
he's been trying to get off the island for quite some time.
Sure. I think everyone was surprised that he lost his powers, though.
And the island lost its powers during this short brief as well.
Yeah, I keep going back to like when Jacob told, I think it was Hurley, about the cork,
Yeah, well,
And-
yeah, and the bottle, yeah.
saying that the evil would come out and destroy everything. I thought, but it really wasn't completely like that.
No, they did. They choose to make it stop again. They make it so that Jack could to put the cork back.
Right, but if
And
he would have left it off,
we don't know. We don't know what was going
Yeah.
to happen later on.
Yeah,
The
that's-
island was going to be destroyed, yes.
yeah.
But will this just affect the rest of the world? We don't know that. They choose not to show us.
Yeah, and that's
And
fine.
I think that's a good one. That's a really good one, because that's a question that is too big even for us.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps if they do a follow-up, you never know. But they can't.
So should we jump to the church or anything else on?
It's not easy to make notes.
Actually, let me ask you this question: If so, let's say everything happened with Jack and Locke and all this stuff as it did, but they didn't never like. Let's just say that it ended, and they never showed us any of the flash sideways, any of the moving on stuff. I think it still would have been a complete series.
Yes.
Like half of this whole season wasn't necessary. I liked it, but they could have.
It's nice.
They could have left it off, and it would have
Yeah.
been it all. It still would have been fine, I think.
It still would have been, but then it would have been only action, and
Yeah.
it would have been left leaving us with a lot of questions. On the other hand, it doesn't really answer much,
No.
do they? I mean, if you
Nope.
pull away those, but the thing is, they are sitting there. We have now made flashbacks. We have now made flash forwards. What else can we do? Let's do flash sideways. They are saying this. If you're watching the bonus material, they are really saying this.
Oh, I didn't watch it yet.
No, if you do, you are going to
Yeah.
be disappointed at them, because they are really saying this. We
Yeah.
need a new gimmick. So this is their gimmick. And how are we going to do that? And then they connected with, or as Shannon actually says in that behind the scenes stuff, it felt like a high school reunion. It feels like they do this to make all the lost characters, all the lost actors get together again, having a barbecue and some wine or stuff. It feels like they're not actually bothering with us.
Well,
They just do this because they want to do this, and they say, "Oh, finally, I can go around in real clothes and stuff." It
It's a
feels like they're not doing it for us.
It's just no, it's also a nice trick because all through season 5, I kept thinking there's going to be this alternate timeline.
Yeah.
And now season 6, oh, I got it. This is my alternate timeline. Oh, nope, it's not.
It's not really, no.
No.
But on the other hand, if we were watching it, we are rooting for these guys. We are rooting for this timeline. We are rooting for everything good that is happening. We are feeling good of it. And it takes a lot of time from the series. I mean, if you're not going to have that timeline, you're only going to have like 6-7 episodes.
Yep, and you can see, so you can probably see like a lot of people were not happy with the end because they were too caught up with this separate timeline, and it could be confusing. It's not actually part of the island, it's just its own thing. Like,
Yeah.
it was definitely a risk, and it definitely didn't appeal to some, but again, I did like it quite a bit. So
Yeah.
I think we kind of covered already what happens at the church. The fact that, Jack finally agrees to let go, and
Yeah.
Christian is there to help him and explains,
Yeah.
it's time to move on. You're all ready.
The point they are pointing at is the fact that Jack always wants to fix things. And the problem with fixers is that they can never stop. They can never let go of something for good.
Mm-hmm.
They are not able to. I've met several fixers out there, and they can't stop. I mean, they will go to their deathbed, and they will still try to make sure that the coffin is okay while they are dead. I mean, they are like that. And Jack is actually making that, the guy who's making Jack is actually making that character very believable. And they are actually putting the whole series around the fact that Jack wants to fix things.
Mm-hmm.
He wakes up while starting to fix things, and that is how we are going to see him for the rest of the show, actually, up to a point when suddenly he has to back down and someone else takes up and takes the place. And there's not that often, but it happens.
I liked in the church when he finally went in the back and he goes into the room and there's like symbols from all denominations, all religions. I don't know if you noticed the stained glass window even has like 7 or 8 different symbols from different.
Yeah, but I didn't bother with that.
Yeah, so
I was just waiting for Christian to show up.
it's basically, you know, they purposely made this a non-denominational church that all religions ultimately come to the same place.
Yeah.
No matter what you believe. There was a lot of, after the show, the message boards, we did a lot of trying to identify all the different symbols. And then some that the show made up that don't actually exist as religions. It was fun. I think I was too distracted that first time around by solving all the mysteries than from enjoying the characters. I knew it was good.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed them a lot more this time.
There is one thing, however. Why is Ben not allowed to get in? Or why doesn't he want to get in? Isn't he dead?
Well, he's dead, but he's not ready to go on. I think he still wants to spend more time with Alex and maybe even Danielle, and then those 3 will go on together later.
Yeah, because they weren't there. That's true.
Yeah. They were. He was important to Jack and those guys, but it wasn't the most important thing to him. Alex was always his most important thing, so he's going to go on when she's ready. Yeah.
And there's also that part when he needs to do the Locke thing. That is, he needs to excuse himself for Locke feeling a bit sorry. And Locke is actually, yes, I forgive you.
Yeah,
he says, and that means a lot. I didn't get the feeling that it meant anything, but yeah, let's believe it. It's outside the church. We need to do it. But the absolute favorite stuff is when Hurley shows up, and this is the line that actually helps you really understand it perfectly. You were a good second hand. No, what?
Number 2.
Good number 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we know at that point, at the same time on the island, it's only these 2 guys and Desmond.
Yep.
And Hurley has made him his number 2. I need someone with experience. Mm-hmm. This is mirroring what is happening on the island at the same time. And I like that. I really like that. And Ben then gives him, you were a good number 1. That means that he has actually accepted that. Both are dead now, but way back then they worked together and they were good to each other.
Yeah.
And that actually made, so they are dead as well. Because up to this point, I was thinking that they are mixing people who are going further and people who are going to stay behind. But this really made, so everyone's dead. I had that feeling for quite some time, but I didn't want to accept it. Of course not. Because everything's going at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely not the pair I would have ever predicted to end up on a team either.
Nope, but they have never been enemies, these 2. Not as such.
No.
Ben hasn't had much to say about Hugo. That's one thing. And Hugo doesn't like whatever Ben is doing. No, that's true. But they are not enemies as such at any point. At least that's what the feeling I get.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then the end. I mean, the real end when the light comes.
Yeah, I will be honest. I don't think... I like the symmetry of having Jack go into the bamboo. I don't think it was needed. I thought he was already dead, and all of a sudden I was like, wait, why is he back alive again? But it was fine. And in the beginning of the show, this is me being picky, but in the beginning of the show, Vincent comes running out of the jungle.
Yeah.
And Christian told him go wake up Jack, but at the end Vincent lays down with Jack.
I did not like that.
He should have ran off. That would have been more mirroring.
Yes.
I didn't like that he laid there, but
we should probably guess that Vincent is dead at this point as well.
Well, I assume he lays with Jack, and who he has no real relationship with in the show, but he lays with Jack, and then he just goes back to
Yeah,
Rose and
Rose
Bernard,
yeah,
and probably Hurley visits them and things like that.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it was an interesting part, but it didn't have to happen.
No, and walking into the light, well, that's something that we have been using a lot in any religion or
Yeah,
any thoughts about afterlife at all. So that works fine as well.
yeah, yeah.
But it still gave me a lot of questions. There was a lot of questions
Really?
still. Yeah, well,
New questions?
let's yeah, but let's face it. So this is the end for these guys, and as you said also earlier, the kids. We have a lot of other kids going on.
Yeah.
John, and Aaron. There is a lot of people who has been in the show, has dead on the show. I mean, I would love to see Mr. Echo in that church. No, because, but on the other hand, he was finished with his world. He had come to ease with his world.
He probably would have. So I don't think he had a strong connection to any of these people. He would have in his afterlife. I imagine he would have met up with his brother, and they would have went on together.
Yes, and that is already done.
But I do think it would have been kind of nice to see him maybe in the background somewhere.
Yeah.
Or something.
And as you said, there are some others as well. But nevertheless, this is how it ended.
Well,
and then suddenly we had a new man in charge.
Yeah.
A very short little extra bonus, special bonus, and I like this one. I totally like this one. This was a good stuff. I didn't bother with the Dharma movie. It starts with that Ben goes in and is going to stop the
airdrops.
Yes, the airdrops from the Dharma Initiative that these two guys has been doing for 20 years.
I had to keep adding up the time in my head, thinking from 70 to 2000 is 30 years.
Yes.
So why is it only 20 years?
But these two guys is always mixed up, and they have been here for 20 years. The two guys before them has been there for like 20 years and so on. So I was it is these two guys, and I'm not totally sure that they have a home to go to.
Well, I was slightly disappointed because I was hoping that Dharma only sent one plane drop and it got caught in the time loop. And it just kept dropping every so often on like a loop.
Okay.
That's what I always thought happened, but it was just literally a drop.
Yes, and what did they call it? Teletype?
Oh,
we get a teletype. That's a good name for it. I've never heard of that one before. I liked it. And Ben is so cool.
Yeah.
And he also refers to the man in charge. There is someone who is a boss or above him.
Yep.
But for me, that was Hurley.
Yeah.
So I didn't bother. And why would he stop delivering stuff? Well, there is no more guys on the island. There are only two of them. Right?
Well,
the rest is dead. The others are gone.
I mean, technically, Bernard and Rose are there.
Yeah, that's true.
And maybe other people will come over time, but
that's true.
But I think I mean, this is just me thinking out loud. Like, I think Hurley probably canceled it to give those two guys a life.
Yep.
And not for any island purposes.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and then we also get another piece of information with this, because if Ben is able to go to this Guam island and cancel, that means that they have found a way off the island.
Oh, sure. I mean, Jacob was able to get on and off.
Yep.
I mean, I think Hurley can make the rules however he wants.
Absolutely. So. That's exactly what I also thought. And of course, it was really cool to see Ben open up his briefcase and have all those materials about Dharma and stuff.
Now, Now, I did I liked the film because it did answer a couple questions. One is in I think season 1 or 2, there was this thing in the jungle. A bird flew at them and it said Hurley, and they're like, "Did that bird say my name?" And so the whole season, the whole show, everybody's wondering, what's the Hurley bird? Why is there a Hurley bird there?
Yeah.
So they wanted to answer that question.
Okay.
They
There's no reason for it. I don't see the point because it's not that important.
No.
Unless, of course, it is the bird who is pointing out who is going to be in the man in charge later on.
No, in the orientation film, it's just a genetic experiment. A bird.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they talked again about the polar bears.
Yeah, that's totally useless.
And they explained why was there a room 23, because everyone was like, why would Dharma be doing all these weird experiments? They kind of explained that it was to after they captured and interrogated a hostile, this was how they erased those memories.
Come on, that's the connection to the Clockwork Orange.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that was a 60s movies in the late 60s, and that was what people thought you should do with people who wasn't totally sick. Yeah. So they were just referencing to that type of tests. Yeah. I love that one, but why dwell on it? I don't really get that.
Well, I mean, after the show was over, they wanted their people. I mean, when the show ended, it didn't end for the audience. People were still screaming, you didn't answer all the questions you said you were going to answer. I mean, there was a lot of questions.
Yeah, but you only get one question.
Yeah, exactly.
And you only get one question answered. And then we have the next scene, and I was totally, what? Why are we back on this hospital?
Yeah, I don't know why Walt was there. I feel really bad for Walt.
Keith Johnson. You remember the name before. Yeah, so I suspected that it was Walt. Because we know that Michael is dead, and Michael was not in the church.
Yeah, I mean, he got screwed.
Yeah, somehow, yeah.
Walt, I mean, he obviously had a bad enough life that he ended up in a mental institution.
Yep. Well, that is because he knows that people are not dead or whatever it is. And he knows that because he has special abilities. And those are the ones that the island wants to have with them. That's actually the point.
You might even theorize that when Ben comes to get Walt, that Walt takes over the island after Hurley's done or something.
Absolutely. He might even take it earlier than that.
Yeah.
Walt is the new man in charge. He is the one who is going to be the new Jacob later on.
I think you just deciphered the title of this thing.
Yeah.
It's both about Hurley, but also about Walt.
It's how they have made it possible for Walt to come back. So that's actually what Hurley and Ben is all about.
I mean, Ben says that Walt is going to go back to help Michael.
Yeah.
But maybe there's something more to it. I don't know.
Yeah, and that gives us more questions, right?
Yeah.
Michael is one of the persons we are missing inside the church. And as you said, he got screwed badly back then. That means that the island is now back on operation. We always forget about the island being a character. The island is always working or not working. It is there. It's like a person. And now it's back working again. But among those who were dead around or on the island, there are people who are not going to be fixed yet. And that perhaps is something that Walt is the next one to fix.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And Hurley should have been. There is plenty of others that I would love to see debating this, but nope, that's what we have. Well, there was one more character that I was thinking of, nevertheless. But that was also probably back on the island still.
Now, at the very end, I also couldn't help thinking back then, and I thought of it again, that when you see Hurley in the Dharma van, which was awesome, by the way.
That was totally awesome.
Hurley's wearing all black, and Ben is wearing all beige, kind of like Jacob and his brother.
Yeah.
I don't think it means anything as far as good, bad, but I just thought it was another mirror.
Let's get back to that good bad stuff, because if you're really into it, Smokey isn't a bad person as such. He's just using the means that he wants to do in order to get where he wants to do. He is also a fixer. He wants to fix things, right?
And we have the boy or the smoke monster?
Well, the boy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because the smoke monster, the smoke monster takes things from the boy, and the boy is a fixer. He needs to fix things.
Yes.
And Smokey is getting those stuff when he's becoming Smokey. He's taking all those stuff, and he's also using the body again.
Yeah, yeah.
And how is he able to do that? Well, because the boy is dead.
Yeah.
So the man in black is not Smokey. We know that. But the thing is that he's not there to fix others. He's not there to fix the island. He's not there to fix anything else but to get himself off the island. And you cannot keep calling a person or a smoke monster bad because it just wants to do what it wants to do.
Yeah, the man was just a man up until he died, but the smoke monster, once it was set free, that was bad.
Are you sure? It just uses the means that it... Well, in that case, you should probably also call the United States of America bad, because you did the exact same thing in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and in Vietnam, in Korea, and several other states. You went in and shot a lot of people because you thought you did the right thing. I mean, come on. We need keep perspective here.
Okay,
good or bad. A bad person is acting bad at every possible meaning to hurt. Okay. I'm not saying that Smokey meant to hurt. I mean, he could have become smoke monster many, many, many times, and he avoided it. And as someone also asked him, why are you not using your smoke monster power to walk? Why are you walking? Because he likes to feel the ground on his feet.
See, okay. So this all hinges on whether or not you believe that if he gets off, like everyone, Ben, Jacob, people were saying that if he gets off the island, he'll kill everyone everywhere.
Yeah, that was what they said, yes. But we have no proof that he meant to do it, and he never said anything in that direction.
And his actions on the island were all geared towards killing, to get rid of the candidates, which would allow him to leave.
Yes.
That doesn't necessarily mean he will kill everyone when he gets off.
No.
But it seems like that is what the show was, what you're supposed to believe. That
that is what you're supposed to believe.
He's true evil. And once he's set free, he's not gonna.
It's so easy to think about black and white. We have been having that with the backgammon board and all that stuff. We have been talking about black and white. It's so easy to think in those terms. But as you probably know, Ron, as we all know, life is gray. Life is so gray that it's dull sometimes. Yeah. But it's always gray. It's always part black, part white. You can never say that anyone is totally white or totally black.
Yeah, no, I totally see what you're saying. He may have just been an animal trying to follow his instinct.
Yeah, that's another point. What is Smokey?
Because certainly when Desmond pulled the cork out, there wasn't another Smokey created or anything like that.
Exactly.
Now, in fact, just because he went down into the water, why did that release the smoke monster? Because when Jack and Desmond went down there were a lot of other charred corpses lying around.
Yeah.
So it's not entirely clear that he truly was evil, I guess.
No, again, a fixer. I mean, that boy was a very thrifty one. Yeah. He was wanting stuff. He was really having his needs pull out for him. I mean, he could put them down in the Bible, and this is true, he would probably say. And that feeling, that driving stuff would probably make a black and white copy of the island. This is my thoughts, because sometimes it feels like the smoke monster is the other side of the good island. The island is something that is good and neutral, and the smoke monster is something black and neutral. So there are two different types here. So it feels like everyone is part black, part white, and suddenly the island loses a bit of its black ones, but it can't lose them because it has to be on the island.
Yeah.
That is the problem.
Yeah. I mean, I can see it. I choose to believe that it was evil, and if it would have got off, it would have been bad.
Yeah, good
so ultimately they did good by defeating it. But at the same time, because the cork was out, if he got off the island sank, he'd be mortal, and so he wouldn't have a chance to be...
Yes.
He wouldn't have powers anyway, so...
Exactly. Yeah. And that's one of the points. The island has never pointed at anyone saying good or bad. Never. That's one thing. The island has never said that anything is good or bad. It has never said much at all. And Jacob is the one who is suddenly telling that if something is bad or good. And we get to know that because his mother, who wasn't his mother, told him that they are going to come here and destroy the island. So it's words that has been delivered down through the Jacobs of time.
Yeah, there's definitely the light, the good light.
Yes.
But that maybe there was never any evil. There was
exactly.
until Jacob threw him down there, and then it created the evil. But yeah.
And then you might actually pull a fast one, because one thing that Smokey did that is evil to me is when he killed Mr. Echo.
And now you have to think, okay, why did he kill Echo but not John? Why did he kill the pilot?
Yes.
He killed people that he couldn't persuade to do what he needed.
No. That because the authors behind the series hadn't thought of the reason for the smoke monsters being overall. At this point, they didn't know that they was later going to put that the Smokey wants to leave the island. Because if you put Smokey leaving the island and then put him besides Mr. Echo, he would have used Mr. Echo.
Yeah, but you could kind of see, so at first Mr. Echo, he gets scanned, right?
Yeah.
And Smokey lets him live. Because at that point, you're thinking, okay, he's going to become one with the island. He's going to go along with it.
Yes, absolutely.
But then later, he becomes adamant in his faith. And now Smokey realizes, okay, this guy's not going to help me. I'm just going to get rid of him.
And what we don't know at this point when Mr. Echo dies is Mr. Echo a candidate?
Right.
We don't know that.
He should be. He fits what?
He should be.
He fits Jacob's definition.
Yes, he does.
See, I think you're gonna have a lot of fun if you now rewatch it knowing this stuff. and it was a lot of fun trying not to spoil things for you.
Yeah, you have made a very good work of that. I haven't been spoiled at all. My biggest concern has been not to watch ahead, because I was so close sometimes. Oh dear, lying there in my hospital bed just wishing to see just one more. No, you will not do that. You have to...
Well, speaking of just one more, I think we should end it here. Unless you have a major point.
No.
And I think we should do just one more, and we'll talk about the whole series, maybe ask and answer some questions of our own.
Yes, and perhaps some of you guys out there, we are going to talk about the characters, we are going to talk about the quotations, there's a lot of them, and I suspect that we are also going to talk a lot about locations, because I've been watching those special bonus features, Lost on Location. I must say they have made a lot of work there. We need to speak a bit about that as well. And of course, our highlights or downlights.
Yes.
What other ones? If a highlight, what's the opposite of a highlight?
Oh.
Downlight?
Well, we definitely had some predictions that we need to see.
Oh, yes, we have
how
to
we
go
did on those. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that's the next episode.
Yep.
Are we finished now? We are good at yapping, right?
I think we should end it here.